So,
Yes.
any doubt here till now in this guideline so that we can proceed with our cord prolapse? So, our this cord prolapse guideline, this is short and sweet guideline, and I hope it will be entertaining as well. Same with shoulder dystocia, not like sepsis. So, let us have some entertainment. Now, where did I stop up to? Where is the second line now? Hera Bhaskar. Now, mini. Okay, cord prolapse and cord presentation. What is cord prolapse and what is cord presentation? Mini is with us or I think left? I don't know here because.
She is not here.
Yeah, she is not there. Okay, so after Mini, who is there? Jagriti.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my dear. What is cord prolapse and what is cord presentation?
When the cord is present at the level of internal os, it is called below the fetal head. It is called presentation. And when the cord is lying outside the cervix, it's like cord prolapse.
With intact membrane,
Membranes
is presentation
are ruptured
and
and cord
membrane
is
ruptured.
Yeah, in cord presentation, membrane will be intact and cord prolapse membrane will be ruptured.
Yes. Cord, yes, good, very good. Cord prolapse has been defined as the descent of the umbilical cord through cervix alongside which is occult or past already overt, the presenting part in presence of ruptured membranes. That is prolapse. Okay. Now, presentation is the presence of umbilical cord between the fetal presenting part and the cervix with or without intact membranes. Okay, if just 1 minute, give me 1 minute, baby. Bismillah, baby. Baba, isko lo. बच्चा सॉरी मामा सॉरी बाबा इसको लो उसको थोड़ा सा टूना दो नहीं मैं गिव अ लिटिल टूना वो नीचे गिरी क्यों वो उधर चढ़ गई थी सॉरी मामा सॉरी दो उसको थोड़ा सा टूना दो निकाल के प्लीज Hello? Sorry, dear.
yes.
My cat actually. So, we said prolapse, it is ruptured membranes. Okay? Then, presentation, it is with or without intact membranes, but it is only between the fetal presenting part and the cervix. Overall incidence is 0.1 to 0.6%. This is for presentation for, this is for cord prolapse. Incidence for cord prolapse is 0.1 to 0.6%, but in case of breech presentation, it is 1%. Breech presentation, cord prolapse is high. Now, what factors are associated with higher chances of cord prolapse? Funny. There will be again, we will go with maternal factors, with fetal factors, and what we do the intervention like that.
Okay. For the maternal factors, if there is a polyhydramnios,
very good, yes.
Factor or malpresentation.
Yeah, excellent, yes.
Then preterm labor.
Yes.
Then multiple pregnancy or multiple parity. Yes.
Multiparity, yes.
Multiparity. Okay, multiparity. Yeah. Multiparity. Then non-engaging presenting parts and it's not engaging.
Yes, excellent. So as you said, all multiparity, if it is low birth weight, preterm labor, any fetal malpresentation, breech presentation, any anomalies, unengaged head, then polyhydramnios, second twin, and low-lying placenta. Now, what about when we do any intervention, procedure related, Paras? Paras is there?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, my dear. Procedure related, what are the risk factors?
When we do the rupture of membrane while the presenting part is high,
Very nice. Yeah.
and external cephalic version,
Hmm.
and
Okay. Okay, Baba. Okay. Okay. Go. Go. Go.
it's written on the screen so I can.
No problem. No problem, my dear. At this time of night, I will not tell you that you should answer without seeing, my dear. It is okay. No problem. So, as you said, when we do ARM with high presenting part, with ruptured membranes, when we do vaginal manipulation, when during ECV, during the procedure, internal podalic version, and insertion of intrauterine pressure, either catheter or large balloon catheter induction of labor. Okay. Now, intervention and cord prolapse. Approximately half of the cases reported being preceded by obstetric intervention. Half of the cases of this cord prolapse. What all are there? The manipulation of fetus during ECV, internal podalic version of second twin, manual rotation when we do know the what they said here, that vaginal manipulation with ruptured membranes, then placement of intrauterine pressure catheter or artificial rupture of membranes with high unengaged presenting part. Now, can cord presentation be detected antenatally, Chanda?
Yes, ma'am. Sometimes in ultrasonography, we can detect.
Can we
cord
do it
present-
routinely? Can we do it routinely?
No, it is not routinely recommended, but
Yes.
it
Should
is
not
an
be done
incidental
routinely.
thing. It's an
Yes.
incidental.
Yeah, incidental finding can be there. Yes, routine, it is not recommended, not there is sufficient evidence for this one, so should not be performed. And selective ultrasound screening can be considered for women with breech presentation at term whom we are considering vaginal birth. There it can be selective ultrasound screening can be considered. Okay. Otherwise, routinely, it should not be performed. Now, can cord prolapse or its effects be avoided? Any measures to be done to avoid it? Bhaskar.
Yes, with transverse oblique and unstable lie, with
Yes.
this malpresentation and malposition, in fact, this transverse oblique unstable lie, we can do elective. We can do elective cesarean sections.
What else?
And non-cephalic presentations like breech and others, we can, and preterm pre-labor rupture should be recommended in the hospital
Yes.
patient. Then artificial rupture of membrane should be avoided.
Yeah, that is very, very important point.
Generally, yeah, in the first stage of labor, we don't do artificial rupture of membrane, and we don't encourage also active first stage of labor.
Yes.
So in an active first stage of labor, they do artificial rupture of membrane, but we discourage that. And of course, in a high presenting part, that should not be done.
Yes. Yes. Very nice. So as we said, with transverse oblique or unstable lie, elective admission to hospital after 37 weeks of gestation should be discussed. And women in community should be advised to present urgently if there are signs of labor or suspicious of membrane rupture. Okay, because all whomever we offer, they have not necessarily they all will get admitted. So we should tell them if they feel any signs of labor or they suspect any rupture of membrane, immediately they should report. Then, as we said, women with non-cephalic presentation and pre-labor rupture of membrane should be recommended in patient care. ARM should be avoided whenever possible if the presenting part is mobile or high, and if it becomes necessary to rupture membranes with a high presenting part due to any reason, this should be performed with arrangement in place for immediate cesarean section. Nice. Now our next part is Upward pressure, what we said that when we do vaginal manipulation to rotate the head and all, upward pressure on the presenting part should be kept to a minimum in women during vaginal examination. A rupture of membrane should be avoided if a cord is felt below the presenting part. When cord presentation is diagnosed in established labor, cesarean section is usually indicated. This is presentation. Huh? Okay, this is done. Now, when should cord prolapse be suspected? This is who will be there now? Sehrish. Sehrish, are you with us? Sehrish there? Sehrish. Sehrish, are you there? Sehrish?
Yes,
I think. Are you there, my dear?
yes.
Yeah. So, when should cord prolapse be suspected?
When
It should be
below the presenting part.
It should be suspected when there is abnormal fetal heart rate.
Part.
Yes, there is when there is abnormal fetal heart rate, and especially if we did ARM or if membranes ruptured spontaneously and we are seeing any changes there. Okay, so that time, yes, it should be suspected. Then speculum or digital examination should be performed when cord prolapse is suspected. Though we have just done the examination, and if we notice any changes in the fetal heart rate, we should see it because maybe the possibility is there, cord prolapse is there. And when spontaneous rupture of membrane occurs, if there is not necessary after every rupture membrane, we will go run and examine the patient. No. When spontaneous rupture of membrane occurs, if there is normal fetal heart rate monitoring and there are no risk factors for cord prolapse, then a routine vaginal examination is not indicated. Okay, so whenever cord prolapse can be suspected when there is abnormal fetal heart rate, especially if the changes seen soon after membranes rupture, either we do spontaneous, either we do artificial, or it is spontaneous. And when any spontaneous rupture of membranes occurs, if there is normal fetal heart rate and the patient is not high risk for having cord prolapse, that time routine vaginal examination is not indicated. Now the other point is cord presentation or prolapse should be excluded at every vaginal examination, that we know already. In addition to the national guidance for fetal heart rate monitoring in labor, the fetal heart rate should be ausculted after every vaginal examination in labor and after spontaneous rupture of membrane, that we know already. That is done, that one intrapartum fetal monitoring.
Yes.
Is it done, that one? Okay, so maybe definitely you must have seen there. Now, bradycardia or variable fetal heart rate deceleration have been associated with cord prolapse, and their presence should prompt vaginal examination. This is the same thing what we said, CTG abnormality. Cord presentation and prolapse may occur without any outward physical signs and with normal fetal heart rate pattern, and might be the first diagnosis at routine vaginal examination in labor. This can also happen rarely. If there is not significant pressure on the cord, it might happen. Rarely it can happen when the presenting part is very high, it is not compressing the cord. It can happen that we might not see any abnormality on the CTG and suddenly we may found on vaginal examination. Now, what is the optimal initial management of cord prolapse in a fully equipped hospital setting? Now, Shahida, if Shahida is with us, like midwife called you that patient presented, when she went and attended the patient, suddenly patient had ruptured membranes and all the cord is out. You reach there, what will be the first thing what you will do? When the Shahida, are you with us? Shahida? If Shahida not there, Sidra?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So when you reached to see the patient, midwife called you, you went to, you attended the patient and you are seeing all the cord is prolapsed outside. Will you place that cord back?
No.
No. Yes. When cord prolapse is diagnosed before full dilatation, assistance should be, that we know already about the theater and all, but manual replacement of cord is
not recommended.
Not recommended. And minimal handling of loops of the cord lying outside the vagina. Why? Because there is risk
To avoid Vasospasm.
Excellent. Vasospasm.
One
Now,
second, can I intercept here? Can
Yeah,
I just
please.
ask a question here?
yeah, please, please.
Here it is written that there is insufficient data to evaluate the manual replacement of the prolapse cord above the presenting part. That means we should not try to manipulate it above the head or above other organ, but it should be reposed within the vagina.
That also there is no evidence. Some studies are telling that we can take that compression of wet mop and all, but still there is no strong evidence for that also.
Because that's what I'm just saying. As soon as it comes in contact with the air, the vasospasm starts.
Yes.
As soon as. So immediately, at least we need for a category 1 cesarean section, at least we need 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. And that 15 to 20 minutes need to be protected. Cord need to be protected before it comes to the air.
Yeah, logically the point is very correct. But what they might be saying here, the point is when we do the maneuvers to reach to category 1 cesarean section and all, whenever we will do that head low position and advance, what is that, lithotomy position.
Knee
chest position, and we will fill the bladder or whatever, we will move the head and all manually, if we will lift the head and all. In all this, they are expecting with all this position, it might go, because it is written also there. I have put that point also, that wet mop covering and all is there, not to minimize again vasospasm, but still the manual replacement is not recommended. This is, but logically, if we see till we go for category 1 cesarean section, the point is very correct point only.
Okay.
Okay.
That's why I was just asking, because they have clearly written that the manual replacement of the prolapse cord above the presenting part. Above the presenting part. Presenting part is here, maybe the here maybe leg or knee or in breech presentation, or even if it is in the cephalic presentation, maybe head. But cord should not be manipulated over the presenting part. But it can be put within the body.
Vagina.
In the vagina, yeah.
Okay, so meaning to say that above the presenting part, we should not try our attempts to put it, but within the vagina, we can replace it.
I was just trying to say that
I think
we maybe within the vagina we can do it, and after that we can.
Here it is written again, minimal handling of the loops of the cord lying outside the vagina.
Yeah, it is again written here.
Again, it
That
is the
means-
same thing.
Then my point is that if the cord is outside the vagina, then what is the point of filling the bladder?
Ah, that is true. It is already prolapsed. It will prolapse more when we
So why I
push
should
it
fill
again.
the bladder? Because my point is that filling the bladder means I am trying to occupy the vaginal space so that it doesn't come out
pushing.
again.
Yes, obstructing it more. That is correct also. Yeah, if logically we think, that is correct also. So let us see what they are telling further. That point is correct. It is already prolapsed outside the vagina. We are obstructing again it more, so it cannot go back more again.
But by filling the bladder, we are when the fetal head will be high up, so it won't compress the cord.
Yeah, the point what he is telling, Bhaskar, your point is very correct. The filling the bladder is not to replace the cord. It is to minimize the compression on the cord of fetal head impaction, because the more fetal head will come down, it will compress on the cord. That is the idea of filling the bladder. But what he is telling, if the cord is already prolapsed outside the vagina, and then we are filling the bladder to push the presenting part, but that will obstruct more the vaginal space as well. And the cord which is outside, it will get obstructed more, not to go back inside. That is the point here. So anyhow, let us go with RCOG, what they are telling. So what they said, manual replacement, not recommended. And if it is already lying outside the vagina, minimal handling to prevent vasospasm. Now, presenting part be elevated either manually or by filling the urinary bladder. For what? To minimize the compression. Compression with what? With presenting part. Then again, mother adopting knee chest or left lateral, preferably with head down and pillow under the left hip position. this all the position. Mostly this position is important while I think while transfer and all also. We will see that. Now here, what is the role of tocolysis, Tahira?
Yes.
What is the role? Already patient is there and she presented, we examined her, by somehow membranes got ruptured and cord prolapse. We started fetal deceleration, but the theater is busy and another emergency cesarean section is ongoing there. Patient is contracting, there is fetal deceleration, cord prolapse, and another emergency cesarean section is ongoing. So what will be the option here in this case?
We can consider tocolysis because there is delay in the preparation of cesarean and operation theatre not available. While
Excellent.
preparing for the cesarean, we can.
Excellent. What tocolytic we will give here?
Atosiban?
Sabutaline or Sabutaline or
Preparing for C-section, we can give the tocolysis.
Yes. What tocolysis we are giving?
Maybe nifedipine.
Sabutaline or Sabutamol.
Terbutaline. Yes.
Terbutaline subcutaneous 0.25 milligram.
0.25 milligram or 250 microgram. Very nice. Now, so we know in what situation tocolysis to be given. If there is fetal heart abnormalities, category 1 cesarean section is needed, but theater is unavailable. This is a recall question. There are concerns that manipulation of the cord or exposure to air may cause reactive vasoconstriction and fetal hypoxic acidosis. Swab soaked in warm saline are wrapped around the cord, but this is of unproven benefit. They are, you know, that वो अपने यहाँ पर बोलते हैं कि बोलेंगे क्या खुद ही ढोल बजाएंगे खुद ही गाना गाएंगे ना, वैसा वाला हिसाब है. They said it is the first sentence, second sentence, both contradicting each other. They are telling, as we said earlier, our debate was that when it is outside already, air exposure, it is causing vasoconstriction, which is again cause of hypoxia. Then it is said that warm saline, wrapping in warm saline around the cord, but this is of unproven benefits. Anyhow, it's up to them, their guideline. Elevation of presenting part is thought to reduce the pressure on umbilical cord and prevent vascular occlusion. We said that. And what is the ideas? What we will do? Either manual lifting or bladder filling. Now, manual elevation is achieved by inserting 2 fingers of a gloved hand into the vagina and pushing presenting part upward. A variation is to remove the hand from the vagina once the presenting part is above pelvic brim and apply continuous suprapubic upward pressure. So it means here what they are telling, that with 2 fingers, we will try to push the head up. And once we are sure that head has been placed above the pelvic brim, after that, rather than continuously keeping our hand inside, suprapubically, we can push it more again towards upward. That is one thing. Now, excessive displacement may encourage more cord to prolapse. So again, here we have to be careful. We have to be cautious, because if we made it completely abdominal and all, whatever the cord loops were there beside the head or down to the head, all will prolapse more. If diagnosis to birth interval is likely to be prolonged, elevation through the bladder filling may be more practical. Here, then how the bladder filling will be done? It will be achieved quickly by inserting the, who will tell me this? Uzma. Uzma is with us. Already everyone is sleepy, but still I appreciate that you people are still very alert. Uzma is not there. So, Mini. Who is that? Uzma, are you here? Mini. If Uzma is not there, Mini. Mini, I think not there. Before also we said Jagriti.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my dear. So how we will do this bladder filling? How much this it will be filled?
Ma'am, retrograde filling by the Foley's catheter.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be filled for up to 500 ml and it should be clamped thereafter.
Okay, now we transfer the patient to theater and we are starting cesarean section. What we will do before that?
Remove the
Remove
clamp,
the clamp.
let the bladder drain first.
Yes. Otherwise, what will happen?
Bladder injury.
Bladder injury.
Bladder injury. Very nice. So if diagnosis to birth interval is likely to be prolonged, as we said, bladder filling, it will be more practical, and it can be achieved quickly by inserting, as you said, retrograde filling 500 to 700 ml of this thing, saline, and it is essential to empty the bladder against before any attempt to assisted birth, or it is cesarean section. If we did not do that, we are landing up in bladder and with litigation. Tocolis has been used to reduce the contraction and limit the bradycardia, including women with cord prolapse. Suggested tocolytic regime is terbutaline, as we said, 0.25 milligram subcutaneously. Now, what is the optimal mode of birth with cord prolapse? Funmi.
Yeah, it depends on the stage of the
Labor.
The stage at which the cord prolapse occur. If it's fully dilated, we can do assisted instrumental delivery.
Very good.
With full
Excellent.
dilatation. But if it's not yet fully dilated, then we can opt for cesarean section.
So our question will start when vaginal birth is not imminent. If vaginal birth is not imminent, we know there is possibility of hypoxic acidosis. So we are supposed to think about another mode of delivery, which is category 1 cesarean section. It is the recommended mode if vaginal birth is not imminent. And in that case, what will be our consent?
To avoid fetal hypoxia.
Yeah, consent. What will be the consent?
Verbal.
Consent.
Verbal consent is satisfactory for category 1 cesarean section. Verbal consent will be enough. Aim of achieving birth within 30 minutes or less if the cord prolapse is associated with suspicious or pathological fetal heart rate pattern, but without compromising maternal safety. So here, whatever we do, still we have to see. In our hospital, one patient was with cord prolapse. She came, emergency cesarean section was done, general anesthesia was given. Later on, when the patient was transferred to recovery, then suddenly like she started some swelling around her neck and face, and also it was thought that maybe some allergy to any medicine or something like that. And Solucortef 1 dose, 2nd dose, 3rd dose is giving, but that edema became started increasing, not improving. Finally, she was transferred to ICU. No cause was found. Later on, it was tracheal injury. Later on, tracheal injury with intubation.
Okay.
And then she was transferred to a higher facility for further that repair and all, you know. So like that, we should not compromise maternal safety. Whatever we do, our aim is to achieve birth within 30 minutes for baby's point of view, but still we should not compromise maternal safety. Now, what is the optimal mode of birth with cord prolapse, category 2 cesarean section? As we said, it can be considered when the category 2 cesarean section, the fetal heart is normal, but in that case, we will continue continuous fetal monitoring. If CTG becomes abnormal, recategorization to category 1 birth should immediately be considered. Discussion with anesthetist should take place to decide the appropriate form of anesthesia. Regional anesthesia can be considered in consultation with experienced anesthetist. Regional can be considered, not necessary that patient need GA. Now, at full dilatation, if it is anticipated that the birth would be accomplished quickly and safely using standard techniques and taking care to avoid impingement of the cord when possible, vaginal birth, mostly instrumental, as we said, can be attempted. So, if it can be easily accomplished without any compromise, it can be done. Breech extraction is appropriate under some circumstances. For example, after internal podalic version of a second twin. Then a practitioner competent in the resuscitation of the newborn should attend all the birth that follows cord prolapse, and paired cord blood samples should be taken for pH and base axis measurement. This paired cord blood samples even in shoulder dystocia also, this is important, huh? pH, cord pH. Okay. So what we did when we confirmed cord prolapse, Immediately we assessed, we managed, we tried to fill the bladder, lift the head, niches position, whatever we tried, we did. And now we are seeing that what is the mode of the birth can be accomplished to less compromise to mother and to safely deliver the baby. If delivery is imminent, we did instrumental delivery. If not, we tried category 1 cesarean section. If CTG is normal, still category 2 cesarean section can be considered. If there is fetal decelerations are going on, needed category 1 section, but the theater is engaged, no other option. In that case, we can give tocilizumab, which is our terbutaline 0.25 milligram. After all this, now we handed the baby over to pediatrician. Whatever the necessary resuscitation measures is done, cord blood sample is taken. What they have written, cesarean section is associated with lower perinatal mortality and reduced risk of Apgar score less than 3 at 5 minutes compared to spontaneous vaginal birth in cases of cord prolapse when vaginal birth was not imminent. So that's why it is recommended category 1 cesarean section if it is not imminent. However, when vaginal birth is imminent, outcomes are similar or better compared with cesarean section because more time we will waste with cesarean section. No? So if the vaginal birth is imminent, to go for it. For women at and beyond, now the thing is, this is, we are coming with prematurity. For women at and beyond 26 weeks with a pathological fetal heart rate pattern on transfer from home, emergency birth should be advised as dictated by national guidelines. You know, what is given according to our preterm things and all, but we will see what will the mode of birth will be according to what we have seen in our preterm thing with a pathological pattern at less than 26 weeks, a discussion of chance of healthy survival should take place. Okay, now we are dealing more than 26 weeks according to the whatever we have seen. Less than 26 weeks now, if it is a pathological pattern, we know the survival is not very high at less than 26 weeks gestation. So this is detailed discussion has to take place, and then only further decision will be taken, because at less than 26 weeks, if there is pathological pattern, not imminent delivery, we are going to do cesarean section. This will be high morbidity for mother. It will be hysterotomy, her future pregnancy, her own health, major cesarean is a major surgery. So all these points has to be taken place. And we are doing all that for what? The baby is less than 26 weeks. What will be the survival? All these points has to be taken into consideration. Then with modern techniques, the complications of GA are rare, but still higher than for regional anesthesia. Use of temporary measures can reduce cord compression, making regional anesthesia the technique of choice. Repeated attempts at regional. Okay. So as they said earlier, regional only when the expert is available. In that case, only regional, because whatever we are advanced, but still with GA, it is comparatively regional is safer. So if the expert is available, it can be done. Otherwise, if repeated attempts are going to happen, better to avoid it. Okay, clear here?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, my dear. The strong predictive value of normal paired cord blood gases for the exclusion of intrapartum hypoxic ischemic brain damage justifies the, okay, this cord blood gases, it is very, very important in any emergency delivery, instrumental, cord prolapse, shoulder dystocia, meconium, all we are supposed to do it. Neonate born alive after cord prolapse are highly likely to require resuscitation and a higher rate of low Apgar score. With cord prolapse, there is high possibility that the birth may be with low Apgar score. What is the possibility? 21% at 1 minute and 7% at 5 minutes. This is the possibility of low Apgar. 21% possibility is there. It will be low at 1 minute and 7% at 5 minutes. What now? This we said all when in hospital, well-equipped setting, all our discussion. Now this is community setting. Midwife should assess the risk of cord. This is from the beginning itself that our antenatal guideline, no, there is which categories will follow in midwife care unit and who will follow in consultant-led unit hospital setting. So midwife from the beginning itself, they should assess the risk factor for cord prolapse for women, those who are requesting home birth or those who need attention. Accordingly, they should assess and refer the patient from the beginning itself. Then women with known cord prolapse should be advised by phone. They should be advised to assume what? to assume, as we said earlier, what position?
Knee chest.
Knee chest position. And when they will be transferred to hospital, suppose if the delivery, if she reached that delivery is not imminent, what delivery? They cannot do, instrumental delivery is not done there, no, at home and all. So by any means, they have to be transferred. When they transferred to hospital, during ambulance transfer, knee chest position will be unsafe, no, because when the ambulance is going and all, knee chest position cannot be, it will be unsafe for the mother. So in that case, exaggerated sim position, that is left lateral with pillow under the hip, it can be used. So if the question comes that whatever cord prolapse happen at home, now we are transferring, this is question also, this is recall also, where while we are transferring from community setting to hospital in ambulance. So position, about the positioning. So in that case, knee chest position is unsafe, potentially unsafe. So exaggerated same position then. Then all women with cord prolapse should be advised to be transferred to the nearest consultant-led unit for birth unless immediate vaginal examination by a competent professional reveals that a spontaneous birth, it means the head was just there, perineum, and she's delivering and all. That is a different scenario. Otherwise, they should be transferred to nearest consultant-led unit. So this is community setting. What we saw in community setting from the beginning itself, those who are high risk for cord prolapse, whatever we have seen criteria antenatal in our that slide, they requested home birth and all. This detailed discussion should be done, and at the start of the labor, they should be referred to the consultant-led unit only. Then by phone, to be advised women to assume knee chest position. During ambulance transfer, knee chest position is unsafe position, so exaggerated sim position should be done, and they should be transferred nearest consultant-led unit unless imminent birth is expected and expert, competent professional is available there. Then the presenting part should be elevated during transfer, either manually or using bladder distension. They have that facility, it seems. They can, midwives can take, when they will be called and all, they can take cannula and they can fill the bladder. So it is recommended that community midwife carry a Foley's catheter for this purpose and equipment for fluid infusion. To prevent vasospasm, there should be minimal handling of the loops of the cord lying outside the vagina. Perinatal mortality is increased when cord prolapse occurs outside hospital compared to inside the hospital, and neonatal morbidity is also increased in these circumstances. That, yes. So this is more than 10-fold compared to cord prolapse in hospital setting and in outside the hospital. It is more than 10-fold. Now, what is the optimal management of cord prolapse at the threshold of viability? Expectant management should be discussed for cord prolapse complicating pregnancy, the gestational age at the threshold of viability, which is from 23 weeks to 24 plus 6 weeks. Clinicians should be aware that there is no evidence to support the replacement of the cord into the uterus when prolapse occurs at or before the threshold of viability. Here they are talking about uterus. Women should be counseled on both continuation and termination of pregnancy following cord prolapse at the threshold of viability. So they haven't given any conclusive evidence here. So only to detailed discussion about either to terminate or to continue, what will be the outlook of the baby, what will be the outcome of this pregnancy if we continue further from this gross prematurity, extreme prematurity. Then at threshold of viability, temporary measures have been recorded for periods of up to 3 weeks. There should be a clear distinction between augmentation of labor with, okay. Finally, suppose at gross prematurity, cord prolapse, after all the detailed discussion, we are reaching to the point now to augment the labor after senior consultation, after counseling women and all. Now, when we are augmenting the labor, there are 2 points with our intervention. Either we are trying to deliver the baby in view of baby's health, or we are trying to deliver the baby to terminate her pregnancy because of some other reason, that mother, she don't want to continue further and all, or if some sepsis has started already, suppose if the cord is prolapsed since they said as if up to 3 weeks and all. So in that case, if intention of delivering a live baby and Termination of pregnancy where the intention is that that baby is not born alive. Since it is over more than 21 weeks, feticide must be considered.
Okay,
Is
ma'am.
it understandable, this point? Okay, because when we are just terminating, because maybe happened chorioamnionitis and this and that, and baby is still alive, but very gross prematurity and very poor outlook for the baby, and the parents are not willing to continue the pregnancy, they want to terminate and this thing. So in that case, feticide has to be considered. But when we are delivering the baby with the point of having the baby survival, for baby survival, that time the routine management will be done. There are no data to guide decision about the timing of birth. They themselves are also not about the timing period. It should be considered if there are signs of severe fetal compromise once viability has been reached or a gestational age associated with reasonable neonatal outcome has been achieved according to the circumstances. This is. Should delayed cord clamping be used after cord prolapse? Delayed cord clamping can be considered if the baby is uncompromised at birth. As we said that day in our preterm labor also, immediate resuscitation should take priority over the delayed cord clamping when the baby is unwell at birth. That time the important is immediate resuscitation, not the delayed cord clamping. If it is done, delayed cord clamping, what is the minimum and what is the maximum time can be done in term baby?
For term baby,
1 to 5 minutes.
4 minutes.
1 to 5 minutes.
2 minutes,
Maximum is
please.
1 to 5
1 to
minutes.
5.
1 to 5
time
minutes.
30
Seconds
30
to?
seconds to 3 minutes.
Yes, excellent. So in a systemic review of preterm infants less than 37 weeks, delayed cord clamping up to 180 seconds was associated with fever, blood transfusion. Why we do this for cord clamping and all? So what way it helps? It minimizes the chances of baby with anemia. So fever, transfusion, better circulatory stability, and fever, intraventricular hemorrhage, and lower risk of necrotizing enterocolitis as well. Then the risk of death or high-grade intraventricular hemorrhage was not found to be significantly different. Okay, why did I added here? Suppose if the question comes, delayed cord clamping, what is the benefit and what points? There is this intraventricular hemorrhage. No significant difference, they said, death or intraventricular, high-grade intraventricular hemorrhage, low-grade intraventricular hemorrhage, there is some difference. Better circulatory stability, better for anemia, and for lower risk necrotizing enterocolitis, it does help. But the risk of death or high-grade intraventricular hemorrhage, there is no significant difference. UK Newborn Resuscitation Guideline 2010 states for uncompromised babies, delay in cord clamping of at least 1 minute from the complete delivery of the fetus is recommended. That we said already. Now our clinical governance part. All we finish, everything, we manage baby, we manage mother, everything is okay. After that, what is the most important thing? After we finish all this, as we said in shoulder dystocia,
Incidence report.
Incidence report, documentation and explanation, detailed discussion with family. An opportunity to discuss the event should be offered to women, possibly with her companion in labor, at a mutually convenient time. After obstetric emergencies, women can be psychologically affected by postnatal depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, or fear of further childbirth. So all the detailed discussion has to be done. Women with cord prolapse and those who undergo urgent transfer to hospital might be particularly vulnerable to emotional problems. Okay, because that if we ourselves can understand, if that situation comes that she is being transferred, she don't know what will be the baby's health till she reaches, and also somewhere they feel guilty whether they did this, how it happened, why it happened. Also they are more vulnerable for emotional problems. Again, training, all the obstetric emergencies, training is very, very, very important. So training, all the staff involved in maternity care should receive training in management of obstetric emergencies, including cord prolapse. Training of cord prolapse should be multidisciplinary, include team rehearsals. Then incident report, we said already, should be submitted for all cord or emergencies, there should be incident report. Then detailed documentation. What is the purpose of this documentation?
To avoid litigation.
Yes, we can see here litigation. That is the most important for us actually. Otherwise, it is so to keep the track of activities, all the. It is a legal document also. It provides record as well. This I found somewhere, so I felt let us have it for some entertainment. This is our chart again and again and again. All charts are very, very important. So when we see this cord prolapse, consider first is organized help at every vaginal examination. We should think of it, and at ruptured membranes and all these are risk factors. Then help obstetrician, midwife, anesthetist, neonatal team, perioperative team, relieving pressure by either manually elevating the presenting part or filling the bladder, encourage into left lateral position with head down and pillow placed under the left hip or knee, chest position, and consider tocolysis. Decision of birth, emergency transfer to hospital or the labor ward if the patient is in primary healthcare or midwifery led unit. Assess and assist birth by quickest mean, whatever the quickest, not compromising maternal health. Urgency of birth dependent on fetal heart rate and gestational age. If cesarean section, consider if regional anesthesia is appropriate and expert is available without multiple prick. Now quickly we will go with few quiz. Quickly, it is already very late for you guys. So when shoulder dystocia is identified, what is the first action? Very, very fast.
Call for help.
Call for help.
Pass. Having not achieved delivery at 4 minutes despite the internal maneuvers, what would be the next action?
All four.
Roll all four and repeat. Very nice. This is a roll, that is all four only. Then, which procedure can cause long-term problems with gait?
Symphysiotomy.
Symphysiotomy. Very nice. Flexion and abduction of maternal hips is called what? This is which procedure?
Macrobot.
Macrobot. Now, someone will read this question. Already my throat is dry. Anyone can read this question?
You are conducting a low forceps delivery for a prolonged second stage of labor on a multiparous woman at 42 weeks of gestation. Labor was of spontaneous consent but requires to augmentation during the first stage. The head was delivered slowly in occipital anterior position and has not undergone restitution. With the next contraction, you apply gentle contraction in an axial direction with reference to the fetal spine for 30 seconds. Delivery is not achieved.
Shoulder
Okay.
disc.
So we are dealing with shoulder dystocia. So what will be our next step now?
Someone help.
So it's still 30 seconds because it's within.
Sorry.
Yeah. You just said 30 seconds. So delivery is not achieved. So what are you going to do? Is that the next question?
Yeah.
Call.
So what would you do after you have called for help? Then you do your Macrobot maneuver.
Yes.
You put the patient.
So the first is as you said, is still 30 seconds only we have tried. So the first thing we will call for help. Help is also dancing. Okay. Anyone else can read this question?
A woman is brought to labor ward by ambulance at 40 weeks of gestation. Her community midwife was performing a stress and sweep at home when the fetal membrane ruptured 30 minutes ago. Cord was palpated below the vertex. The cervix is 2 centimeters dilated. She should be immediately transferred to hospital.
Yeah, now you are in hospital. This scenario happened in community midwife. There she was performing sweep and stretching. There she felt already membranes ruptured and cord was palpated below the vertex and she was 2 centimeters. This is all there. Now patient reached to hospital. Patient is in front of you in ambulance. First thing what you will do?
Positioning of the mother, my knees is
Fetal heart.
Who's that? Who said fetal heart?
Me, Jagrati.
Yeah, because in all this time, patient reached here, we don't know what happened with the baby. है ना? So what you said, positioning and all, that is very, very okay. We confirmed cord prolapse and all. But before doing any intervention, sorry, I didn't give you the options that time, just to have some exercise of our brain. Here, she reached to us, whatever 2 centimeter cord prolapse and all is there, but our further intervention, what we are going to do now, it depends on baby's health. Because all this from there, membranes ruptured was 30 minutes ago. Time also they have given. So from in all that time, whether the baby is still alive, baby is still okay. So confirmation of fetal heart. They have written by ultrasound scan. Now, anyone can read this question, please?
You are called to assess a 25 years old G3P2 in labor at 39 weeks of gestation. She has an epidural in situ and is contracting strongly and regularly at 4:10. At the last vaginal examination 1 hour ago, she was 5 centimeter dilated. Spontaneous rupture of the fetal membrane occurred 20 minutes ago, since which there has been lead decelerations associated with each contractions. So chances of cord prolapse suspected.
So what we will do for that?
Repeat vaginal examination.
We'll do a speculum examination.
Why we will do speculum? We can do direct vaginal examination. She is in labor. है ना? Not preterm. Already in labor, 39 weeks. So we can do direct vaginal examination. That is the main thing, because as you said, possibility of cord prolapse. Okay?
Yeah.
Good. So today, Alhamdulillah, I didn't keep anything pending. Torturing you guys. I'm sorry for that. But we finished this, because once something is pending, then it becomes like that only, that VBAC is still there. I don't know with what I will combine it together, but I have to. I will see where I will combine it. If I cannot combine, maybe I will take one short lecture on same Friday to complete it, but I have to complete it. Okay. Now, any doubts, anything, if not now, with Telegram group, anywhere, we can write it to clear. In the beginning, I'm sorry, I was a little bit faster. Someone said, so if any point was not clear there, you can write in the group and we will discuss it. Okay. Plus our, whatever the 2 pending things has to be checked for. Okay.
Thank you. It was very productive and the situation was a bit pressing, but it was very productive.
Thank you so much.
It was very rapid revision, and it was very productive.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I really appreciate all of you to sit up to this time also, because here in my place it is 12, but there I'm sure it is 2 o'clock and 2:30, up to this much late time, to give such a very healthy response and very active response. That was really, really highly appreciated. Thank you so much. And I hope the way we sat up to this time of night with all hard effort, and it will be fruitful, inshallah, with God's grace. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you. Good night. And we will get up tomorrow with new energy to deliver the shoulder and put the cord back. Okay, then. Okay. Take care. Good night. Allah Hafiz.